Hey everybody, Mo here, and today I'm bringing you guys another video on, this time we're bringing you Sweaty Thursday. So, for those of you that don't know what Sweaty Thursday is, it's the first Sweaty Thursday of the new season, of the new competitive format. And for those of you that might be new to the channel, or new to Runeterra in general, you don't know what Sweaty Thursdays are. They are essentially meta guides for the weekend. The series is more dedicated and was created to help out the people that don't have all day, every day to play LoR and to play Runeterra and get, consistently updated on the meta just by playing themselves and figuring it out and seeing it. So I always post a Meta Monday video every Monday to let you know what the last 7 days look like, so what you can expect going into the week. And then I post Sweaty Thursday to kind of help you out and let you understand what's going to be going on, if anything kind of changed, or just what the best decks are going into the weekend. If you're going to play in any tournaments that weekend, we have daily rumbles for the weekend, as well as just your ladder climb. Because, like I said, a lot of people out there have these 9-to-5 jobs Monday through Friday, or they have families and they have other responsibilities, whatever it may be, and they just don't have all day every day to play, and a lot of times the weekend is the only free time they have, or they just have very limited times, period, to play LoR. So that's what the series is for. So let's get into it. I hope you guys enjoyed the little recap, and if this is a series for you, make sure to subscribe and comment down below and all that type of stuff. So let me know down below what deck you guys are going to play for the weekend, whether you're playing in a tournament that I'm going to talk about here, or you're just going to be playing in like the daily rumbles and ladder. Let me know and let the other people know down below what you're going to be playing if it's not one of these decks, because it helps out the rest of the community and gives them ideas and tells them, hey, you don't have to play what everyone else is playing. This is what I'm playing and it's been working for me. And then, that could give someone a deck that they enjoy, and you can help pay it forward, essentially. So that's it for the intro. Let's get into the decks here. So the first thing we're going to go over is ladder. So if I were to play ladder this weekend, there's essentially two decks I would play. Either Jax Freljord, because Jax Freljord seems to be very strong. This is Alan ZQ's list. It just plays a lot of the Jax cards, obviously, and then a bunch of these orange support package. So all of the Forge cards, and then Pouty Poro, just because it gets 3 keywords, 3 generating subs. It's very easy to get. You can go Pouty Poro on 1, pass, and then on turn 3 play, where's it at? On turn 3 play Bone Club. This deck seems very strong. This deck seems very much like if it hits, it's early game and it gets a really big unit by turn 3 or turn 4, it is extremely hard to deal with. That being said, because you also go like Weaponsmith on turn 1, and then turn 3, where's that? Turn 3 play Bone Club, and then now you have 6, so now you just have like a 7. You have like a 7-8 on turn 3, and it's like insanely hard for your opponent to deal with. So yeah, turn 3 7-8 is really, really good. So this deck just has a decent amount of curves. Again, you can go like pass on turn 1, play this on turn 2, play like anything turn 3, and then just play turn 4, and now you have big Bone Club, right? So this deck plays a bunch of really big units or has a way to make units very large on turns 3 and 4. So your early game pressure is really big, and then it's really hard for your opponent to come back in most decks, because they're forever having to chump block this really large unit. If it ever gets overwhelmed, obviously you can't just chump block it at all. And yeah, it's very much a deck that says, have an answer to my equipment. If you don't, then you lose. Just simply because of the power, like just power raw stats in this deck. It has removal spells now, thanks to a fish fight. It has a bunch of combat tricks, so in combat, thanks to like Troll Chant and 3 Sisters. So, as well as Unforgiving Cold, so Frostbites for days. So if you're in combat with it, it's going to beat you out because of the pure stats and then the combat tricks it has. If you're outside of combat with a back row champion or backline champion or something of that nature, they have fish fight to try and, kill it off that way. Ornn, Jax, I don't know what it's going to look like once the whole meta settles down, but it definitely looks really solid right now. I think it's going to get smoked by things like Echo Jinx, and because Echo Jinx puts out infinite chump blockers and then kind of just like kills your opponent. But maybe with the Frostbites, you're good into Echo Jinx because you can stop their Echo from hitting you. Maybe, I know into Katarina Gwyn, you should be fairly fine again because you have Troll Chance, you have the Frostbites. So, Fish Fights, you should be okay into that deck as well. This deck looks very solid right now. I'm sure there are decks that beat it. Like I said, all the decks that are trying to beat it do beat it. Because the downside of this deck, well, I just listed all the upsides. I don't want you to think, oh, this deck is super broken and can never lose. Very much can. And it loses to decks that try to beat it, which is very good. It's a very good balancing. The decks that tried to beat this deck do beat it fairly well. And what decks beat this deck? Anything that can really deal with equipment super well can beat this deck. Decks that can just recall units is very good. So typically it's just your very typical anti-mid-range style decks, which is what we're going to get into right now. And so the second deck I would recommend to play on ladder, and this is my preference because I'm not really good at the big like mid-range style decks, is just going to simply be some sort of like Noxus Bilgewater Control. I think, where's it at? I think Heavy Metal is probably the best card in the set right now. It kills small units just because it simply deals 2 damage, and it also destroys equipment, so it's one of the most efficient. It's probably the best card at destroying equipment, so because it also has a good use outside of just destroying equipment. So that's very good. So you can usually, like, your opponent gets this really big Jax, you just say, okay, here's Heavy Metal, kill your weapon, kill your Jax. Oh, you troll chanted to keep your Jax alive. Cool, you still lost your weapon, and then now your Jax is damaged on that turn, so if you had a Flock, you could pair it with a Flock or something like that. Try and kill off the Jax that way. So, yeah, I'm huge on the Heavy Metal stonks right now. I think we're going to see Heavy Metal stonks go through the absolute roof. As well as Quietus. I think people think Quietus is dead because of the nerf. It's definitely not dead because it still kills small things. And then on top of that, pair it with a bunch of damaging spells. It can still kill like a fairly decent amount of things. And then on top of all of that, it still just destroys a weapon for 1 mana. So your opponent plays 5 mana Bone Claw, and you just say, okay, 1 mana, get rid of it. And that's still, very fine. I think people are kind of overreacting. Don't get me wrong, it's definitely a nerf. It's definitely a fairly large nerf, but the card also is not like dead and broken and will never see play. I think the deck's very fine. Yeah, so this is nothing special. It's just TF Swain. I am not Boros nerf. Doesn't matter at all. You kind of have to play a little bit more defensive, I guess, but that's fine. Oh yeah, we also play 1 Brutal Skirmish. This levels up Swain as well as, again, it just gives you another form of weapon destruction. So you really, really go in on their weapon destruction as well as being able to kill off big units. And what does Noxus Control do really well? It's like it does a really good job with Flock killing off these middle to biggish size units as long as they're damaged, or if they develop into you can stun them with either Arachnoid Sentry or Twisted Fate. Late game you can just go like play my Swain, turn 7 play Leviathan, and then if they don't have a way to kill off your Swain or Leviathan, like if they don't have a fish fight on a very large unit, which they shouldn't have a large unit because you probably destroyed their very, very big weapon, or if they do have a large unit, you probably damage it and get it ready to die to a Scorched Earth. You can kind of just sit there, go play Swain, play Leviathan, and then just levy lock them for 10 turns. Like, you never even have to attack with them. You can just say, like, okay, your 2 biggest units can never hit me. And then if you ever draw a second Leviathan, obviously 4 units can't hit me. But usually just 1 Leviathan and a Swain is very good because it'll just stun your opponent's units forever. And then if they try and do something on their turn, like, oh, I'm going to hold my Orin back for my turn, and then, like, so it doesn't get level Leviathan to then attack and kill you, you obviously could just have some sort of damaging spell or way to damage the opponent's Nexus, and then it's done to the Orin for that turn, and then boom, you're back in business with the forever stun locked champions. So this is my favorite deck at the moment. This is actually the deck I took into the Unlimited Champions Gauntlet a couple times just to see like how it does, and it very much just like destroys standard best of 3. Nice, it's not out yet. Sorry, I just wanted to check on to see when the standard best of 3 happened. But yeah, it's very solid. So I know I said I was going to take Bandletree, and I was going to, but I just wanted to see how this deck went. I also didn't know if I was going to get multiple runs. So yeah. And so as far as the lineup goes, so this weekend there are 2 decently sized community tournaments, as well as your daily Rumble best of 3, as we just checked here. The best of 3 daily Rumble starts today, and this is, again, how you get your crowns or whatever, or what are these things called? Trophies. Yeah, also, I got 9 trophies for mine, which is weird because I went 6-0, so don't know why it only gave me 9 trophies. Maybe that's just how many you're supposed to get. But anyways, I will link both of the tournaments down in the description below, as well as if you go to my Discord, !Discord, there is a whole channel just for upcoming tournaments that I post upcoming tournaments to let people know, like, hey, there's a upcoming tournament. That's the name of the channel. And it lets you kind of prepare and say like, oh, I want to play in a tournament this weekend. I have nothing to do. Let me practice. And it's good for that. So even if you don't think you have a chance at winning the tournament and you just want practice or you're just getting into LOR, tournaments are great. They give you great experience. They let you know what the tournament feel is kind of like, what the best of 3 open deck list kind of feels like. Again, you can practice against really good players. So even if you lose and go 0-2 and get smoked, you can go back, VOD review that, see what they did really well, try and copy that and implement that into your playstyle. But the lineup I recommend for this weekend, and the lineup I'm going to be playing this weekend, is TF Swain, Aphelios, Leona, and Katarina Annie. So TF Swain we're not going to go over too much because it does, like we just went over it. It's basically just this anti-mid-range deck. My goal going into this weekend is 2 things. 1, beat Red Gwyn. 2, beat Jax. And 3, just not be horrible into random garbage that people are going to be trying to brew for the first week. And that's what this lineup does really well. This lineup beats Red Gwyn very well. This lineup beats Jax very well because I have weapon destruction in all of them. I have ways to deal with, decently sized units in all of them. And then on top of that, it beats random garbage, and it actually does beat Echo Jinx. So if people are still playing Echo Jinx, both of these decks are super favored into Echo Jinx. The Katarina Annie and the TF Swain, as well as this the Leona Aphelios deck is also like fairly well into Echo Jinx because they can never really rally on you. So what I've done a lot, what you can do a lot of times in the mid game, is use Leona, leveled up Leona barrier to pull and kill either an Echo or pull and kill a Voices of the Risen. That's it. Just kill the one thing. Don't fully trade the board. And then they have to decide, okay, do you want to rally with just this one unit being dead and you don't get like the full revive package, or do you want to save the rally for like a bigger turn? And if they do rally, you just play like a Sunhawk or you play something to Daybreak with Leona, and then you stun the Echo anyways. So you can get the rally out of their hand, and then you stun their Echo anyway, so they can't try and search for another rally. Your Leona has barrier now because you activated Daybreak, and so your Leona gets to kill something for free, which a lot of times they just don't attack into you at that point anyways, and then you wasted a they wasted a rally, like revive rally card, which is really good for you. So deck's really good into Echo Jinx also. So you're randomly like triply good into Echo Jinx, triply good into Red Gwyn. You should be triply good into the Jax decks just simply because you destroy their weapons here. This deck also destroys weapons because we're still on 2 Quietus. So easy way to destroy weapons, and then you kind of outstat them. You also have Leona to just go ahead and stun their board, try and push in through lethal with the Winding Light. So a lot of times, if you have Ravoon, it's super easy because you just go like Leona Ravoon, and then you just play a bunch of cheap Daybreak units, and you're kind of chilling. But if you don't have Ravoon, you can only do 1. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll wait till pretty late to the game, and then I'll have Leona, I'll do Stun Hawk, and then that stuns 2 units because of the Stun Hawk and then the Leona, and then you have Winding Light after that, and it just makes your whole board ginormous with Overwhelm. Your opponent's down 2 blockers anyways. You could use Leona that has barrier now to pull the biggest unit or to pull something to the side if you don't want it to block or if you want it to block early, whatever it is. And you kind of just like run away from the game, or run away with the game from there. So this is the lineup and beyond. And the last deck we're going to talk about with this lineup is going to be the Katarina Annie. So Katarina Annie, as one conservatory, you might have thought like, oh, it's just a conservatory deck. But this deck is really good into, again, Red Gwyn, and it has, I put in Weapon Destruction with the Brutal Skirmish. I don't know if you'll need more than that. This is definitely going to be the weirdest deck into Orange Jax because you only play the 2 with Brutal Skirmish. And after that, though, is you do have a lot of removal spells, so you should have a pretty easy time not dying against them. And then you kind of just win the game thanks to like Conservatory going off. Where's it at? Like Conservatory going off, or your Katarina just like letting you completely run your opponent out of units and then just rallying on them. Yes, Katarina got nerfed down to a 2/2. No, that does not matter. So you play Blood Main or Broad Main, so your opponent can have damaged units. Full swing in. You play Death Lotus. It's just 2 mana board wipe your opponent thanks to the Broad Main. And yeah, that's about it. You kind of just run your opponent out of cards and just kill them over and over again with like Tibbers. Again, this Conservatory. Where's her at? Where's she at? Katarina rallying over and over again, hitting your opponent for what was 4, but now 3 damage. So you're in a pretty decent spot with this deck still, especially if your goal is just to beat those specific style decks. this deck does that very solidly. So all the deck links to this will be down in the description below, and yes, I'll post them as links so that way people on mobile can copy them. I usually do that. The reason I didn't do that with yesterday's video was because I simply was in a rush and just wanted to put them out and get that video out as soon as possible so the people wanting to play on the new patch knew what decks they could play. So yeah, if you are wondering what 5 decks or what new decks you could play on the new patch, I did put a video out yesterday going over all the new decks with like Orange Jax, Jax Kane, Lucian, Azir, Lucian, Gwyn, stuff like that. And then tomorrow, I actually have a gameplay video coming out with Lucian Gwyn. So be on the lookout for that. If you're interested in that, make sure to subscribe, like, comment. Like I said, if you aren't playing one of these decks in your ladders or in your tournaments this weekend, post down in the comments down below what decks you are playing or what decks have been doing well for you so far so other people can get some inspiration off of that. I'll post the tournaments, like I said, also down in the description below, so if you're interested in playing in that, one of them is a $200 prize pool, one of them has like a $100 prize pool or $150 prize pool, something of that nature, both completely free to enter. There's also a third tournament on Sunday that is a $10 entry fee, but the prize pool can go up to $440. So if you don't get day 2 on one of the first day tournaments on Saturday, then you can play in this one on Sunday, and you know, good practice is good practice, so is what it is. That's gonna be it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you guys in the next one.